And the reason why I'm going to give you 8 is because everyone is at different processes and different phases in their government contracting journey and in terms of the infrastructure that they may have. Some of you guys have personal clearances and facility clearances. Some of you don't. Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Curtis A. Merriweather Jr. And thank you for checking out another video installment today. Now, as you guys already know, if you've been a subscriber of this channel for any length of time, the purpose of this channel is to educate entrepreneurs. Now, we do this education through consultation, education, and training support services. Now, the goal of this channel is to help you lower your learning curve and help you accelerate your business profitability. Now, I'm a big believer in education. Many of you guys know in 2023, I did get my PhD in management. And so we wanted to steal a lot of those takeaways that I learned on my doctoral journey. But in addition to that, we're going to also share practical experiences based on my 27 plus year history in the government contracting game. So we wanted to demystify the process, and we want to give you actionable tips, techniques, and strategies that's going to accelerate your government contracting journey. Now on the screen, you'll see my Instagram handle. It is Dr. Curtis Jr. Dr. Curtis Jr. on Instagram. Please give me a follow, shoot me a DM. I love getting your messages. On your screen right now, you'll see our website, our education teaching platform URL. Please go check us out at 8figuregovcon.com. Definitely peruse over to the course store library. That URL is on the screen if you want to go there directly. And we will look forward to the opportunity to train and educate and coach you, no matter whether you are new or seasoned government contractor. All righty. Before I jump into my channel content for today, I want you to like, I want you to share, and I want you to subscribe to the channel. I noticed that about 63% of our viewers are not subscribed. So please smash the subscribe button. So anytime we produce new content, you will be notified most promptly. We are going to be doing our next free information session on February 6, 2024. That's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is free, but registration is required so we can make sure we're prepared to meet the demand that's going to be on our virtual session that evening. In April 26, 2024, I will be at the Richmond Marriott for a one-day event. I will be joined by my friend and colleague in the space, special guest, Mr. Guy Timberlake. We will be together in Richmond, Virginia in April. Details are forthcoming. Okay, I have a great topic for you all today. Got a great topic for you today. I want to really focus your attention. You can see the title. But before I really jump into the content, I want to lay a very solid foundation. Now, one of the things we endeavor to do on this channel is to really give you actionable tips, techniques, and strategies that's going to help that you can put into place to find your level of success based on a whole bunch of factors, no matter where you are. Now, many of you guys know my background is in computer engineering, so I'm the IT software engineering type. And I run across a lot of folks that want to ask me, how do I penetrate the space from an IT perspective? So whether you're a software developer, system admin, help desk tier 1, 2, 3, whether you are a project manager who with specialization in software management, no matter where you are on the spectrum, or maybe you are a person who wants to sell software products. Well, you no need to look any further. I want to demystify some of the happenings on the federal landscape as it relates specifically to IT companies or companies that have IT services. Now, before I get into my top agencies that I want to point you toward, that if you are not there, I want you to begin looking there. And if you are there already, I want you to dig in further. Before that, do that, I want to inform you and give you some background information for why I'm pointing you to the agencies that I'm going to point you toward today. I'm really going to point you to departments, but agencies sound better. But I'm really going to point you to departments. And it's going to be important that you understand using the things we teach in our 8-figure GovCon class or things you picked up other places to distill that information and navigate the terrain. But I do want to today, I want to give you some very high level guidance. You got me? High level guidance. But before I talk about, again, the top 8 agencies that I'm going to discuss today, and you're going to kind of hear me do a little back and forth at the end and kind of explain why I'm going to present information when I'm going to present it. But I want to lay some technical approach. I want to lay out a technical approach for how we arrive at the companies, or excuse me, the agencies that we're going to discuss today. And number one, we have a discretionary budget. Now, we know we just averted a shutdown. As of the date of this recording, earlier this month, there was a government shutdown avoidance, specifically last Thursday. Today, I'm recording this. This is January 25th. We averted a shutdown last Friday, okay? Friday, 2024, just to give some context. So we avoided a shutdown. I've talked in my sessions and on this platform about why shutdowns occur. I'm not going to go down that rabbit trail today. I'll point you to another video. You can get that information if you're interested in about government shutdowns and how to navigate them. But let me keep moving. Now, when we start talking about federal budgets, as government contractors, we are intimately concerned with the discretionary budget. So when I get ready to outline the information I want to give you today, I want to clarify. We're looking at both appropriated and non-appropriated funds available for contracting from the discretionary budget. Now, we're taking this information directly from the presidential budget. In previous conversations, I've talked about how to kind of examine the presidential budget either on YouTube or in some of my paid content. But I just wanted to throw that out there. We're going to really focus on the presidential budget. And based on some insight I just gave you, that budget has not been fully hammered out. If it was fully hammered out and approved, we wouldn't be still going through this government shutdown process and so far into FY 2024. We should be in continuing resolution firmly in there with the budget approved and running for the end of the year. That's not the case. Okay, so we're looking at the federal FY 2024 budget request and supporting documentation. Now, and with all things being equal, we should be preparing. 2024 should be out the way. We're already firmly in FY 2024. We should be knee-deep in negotiations for FY 2025 just based on the acquisition process. So all I'm going to say there, if you want more, jump in the class. Okay, now, included agencies, the agencies we included were required to submit IT budgets to the Office of Management and Budget, also known as OMB. That's the Office of Management and Budget. They have some oversight provisions and some oversight requirements for the federal government. So we looked at some OMB data, and we're also looking at the budget presentations and congressional hearings from an agency-specific perspective, and really the leadership at those agencies are talking. And then we also looked at the FY 2024 OMB, Office of Management and Budget, A11 circular, and the IT portfolio budget artifacts. I understand everyone may not know what this is, but I want to point you to how I derive at the projections I'm going to give you in terms of agencies to look at. Now, you want to look at historical data of federal spending programs as well. This is just kind of how we came up with our methodology for the recommendations we're going to make later in this video. Now, we omitted IT systems categorized as national security systems per the Office of Management and Budget Guidance. So just again, I want to give you the approach of how we arrived at this. I didn't just pick some stuff out the air and say, hope I'm gonna throw these to my viewers. No, it was a very thoughtful process, and I want to share you the methodology. So hopefully you can go and repeat. You do the things I did at a very high level, you'll get similar results. So I want to be very clear that I'm looking at appropriated versus non-appropriated. Dovetails back to the IT budget requests being made and OMB is tracked. So I want to be very clear with that, because when you start talking about budgets, you'll see numbers going up and down. So I thought it was helpful to let you know I looked at the appropriated and non-appropriated, because as of today, we still don't have a fully approved FY 2024 budget. I want to just put it in context. Now, there are a couple things, and these things are important because these things are driving the budget considerations. And so when we start talking about top agencies to look for, you as an entrepreneur, you as a business development professional, capture manager, proposal person, whatever your role is within the value stream, is going to be super important that you understand how we arrive at the data. So there's some things that you're going to see echoed throughout the FY 2024 presidential budget. If you haven't looked, I do encourage you to go take a peek. Theme number one, cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a high priority for a whole lot of reasons that I don't think I have to explain to this particular audience. But the goal here, the theme here, the federal government wants to reduce their cybersecurity risk. They want our IT infrastructure, quite frankly, to be secure and safe. And they want to prevent unauthorized access. You all get this, I know. So the White House released its national cybersecurity strategy to address complex cyber threats. Think about zero-day vulnerabilities, things like that. Now, money always follows policy. We're talking about the federal government. Normally there's a policy, policies approved, going through its various different approval processes, and then money always follows policy, okay? So the president's budget includes $26.2 billion with a B of budget authority for cyber-related activities. Now, DoD alone, this is accounting for 13.5 in FY 2024, which is where we are right now in January 2024. You know, we'll be in FY 2025, October 1. That should not be new information for you all who have been on this channel. Some of our newbies may not know that. Now, the federal agencies, 12.7 billion. When I talk about federal agencies or federal civilian agencies, I want to delineate, I'm talking about non-DoD, Department of Defense agencies. We're talking, when we talk about DoD, we're talking about military and a lot of intelligence community partners, not a lot of intelligence community, but I'm just going to keep it simple. So we're talking DoD, Air Force, Army, Marine Corps, Navy. When I'm talking DoD, Coast Guard really falls in the Department of Homeland Security. But I digress. So when we talk about federal civilian agencies, I want to be very clear. I'm talking about non-DoD agencies, okay? So let me go back. We have a cybersecurity theme that is echoing through in the presidential FY 2024 budget. It's going to make sense here in a moment. Second thing you're going to see in the FY 2024 presidential budget is this theme of IT modernization. Now, we're talking about modernizing legacy IT systems. Everything the federal government has is not new. Some of these are legacy systems, older technology, and they need to be made current. They need to be made more relevant for a whole host of reasons. Now, this policy is going to come from, or plan, I don't know if you want to call this a particular policy, but this is the Information Technology Operating Plan. Now, this was a June 2022 publication. It promotes the adoption of modern technology. The budget supports IT system modernization and retiring of legacy systems. You don't just retire a legacy system. You have to have a process and procedure to make sure that there's not going to be a gap in service when you retire that system. So you're going to see contracts looking to address the logistical tail. address the challenges with retiring this system. So we got to make sure we fill the gap before we retire. So there may be a period where you got duplicative services. We have to make sure that before that old system goes offline, that the new system at least meets and exceeds the capability of the prior system. Now, when I was working for Department of Navy, for an agency called the Space and Naval Warfare System Center, they've now renamed themselves to the Naval Information Warfare Center, known as NIWIC or NAVWAR. So SPAWAR to NAVWAR, NIWIC, same company, same agency. You will hear me sometimes use those terms interchangeably, just quite frankly, because sometimes old habits die hard. So they renamed themselves a while ago. And for those who are in this space, we still call the agency SPAWAR when they have, in fact, SPAWAR, SPAWAR, potato, when they have, in fact, changed names. But when I was a computer engineer for the federal government, early 2000s, we had an initiative called Continuous Process Improvement. So from an IT modernization perspective, you're seeing continuous improvement and scalability initiatives to improve service delivery and effectiveness. Now, under IT modernization, there's $200 million of funding for a technology modernization fund. Technology modernization fund. Now, the goal of this fund is to identify opportunities to leverage technologies across agencies. So they're looking for economies of scale. They're looking to invest some money today for long-term benefit from a technology perspective in the future, okay? So number one thing was cybersecurity. Second thing is IT modernization. Third thing, a digital-first customer experience centric approach. Let's call it that. So they want a digital-first customer experience. They're really focusing on the user experience when you have to engage with your federal agencies, okay? In some cases, you are a customer to the federal government, just as an American citizen. So the digital first customer experience also is there's some tenets that ring true in the information technology operating plan, as we talked about in IT modernization. Again, money follows policy, but the budget actually supports the design and technology to improve the user experience. Now, this aligns with the 21st Century Integrated Digital Experience Act. Remember, policy first, then follow, that's how you follow the money. So I see the policy, and then I'll be able to follow the money based on prior or precedent policy, okay? Now, some examples where you're going to see this digital first customer experience, user-centric user experience approach. You're going to see this with examples in the Social Security Administration. They want to really work on decreased wait times, whether that's on the phone or actually at the actual office itself. You're going to see a SSI, supplemental security income application process improvements. This is their plan. Also, when we start talking about the U.S. State Department, known as the Department of State or State Department, this is the U.S. Department of State. They do a whole lot of diplomatic, foreign aid kinds of things. A lot of diplomacy operations, foreign officers. That's kind of their mission. But one of the things that the Department of State also is responsible for are our passports. So they want to revamp our passport services, and they want to make some of the core services that they do, they want to make them more readily available online. I just got my passports renewed, mine and my children. My renewal was fairly easy. I just took paperwork in. When they got their passports the first time, they were below 16. So they had to go do a new application, and we had to actually find a post office that actually had passport processing, and they had to go do it was a very manual process. So I'm assuming these are the type of services that the passport office is looking to bring online. That's my opinion based on how I'm reading this information. But you'll see exactly what they want based on the subsequent contract opportunities that follow. So policy, money, money yields contract, contract yields the implementation and execution of said product or service needs. Okay. Last but not least, there's several, but I just want to talk about three. You got TSA. You got the Transportation Security Administration. They want to improve the security experience. So they're looking at doing a customer experience manager model. So again, they're trying to make sure that the engagement with TSA is more user-friendly, more better customer service experience. And so this is just part of the digital first customer experience initiative. All right. Then the fourth and final thing from an IT perspective, we just want to talk about IT and IT related capability. So everything may not always be completely 100% IT. There's something called a social technical system, which combines the people piece with the IT piece. I wrote my dissertation a little bit on social technical systems. That was one of my core tenets. But you're looking at this integration of the social piece or the people piece or the organizational piece with the technology enablement. So when you bring those two things together, we call that a social technical system. So when we talk about IT, we want to talk about it from a social technical systems perspective. It may not be a 100% IT solution, but the IT may complement pieces and parts of the overall process. Now, the fourth and final thing that I want to focus on today is data as a strategic asset. Now, I'm going to just say it. Data is the new gold. Data is the new gold. Budget supports data as a strategic asset to derive new insights. The government is trying to be more empirical. They don't just want to be gut-based. They don't want to make decisions on the fly. They want their decisions to be backed by data. We do live in the information age. So data is going to drive our decision making. It's going to be more empirically based. You're going to see a lot more data science type projects permeate the federal government, whether we're talking DOD in the intelligence community or whether we're talking about federal civilian agencies. Now, there's something called an FDS. There's a federal data strategy. Remember, policy, money follows policy. But before money's implemented, there has to be a strategy. So we got policy, strategy, and then money. I'm just trying to deconstruct the overall concept I kind of laid out earlier. So sometimes I try to oversimplify, but in this case, I want to show the hierarchy. So you got a policy, now you got a strategy, and then of course that's going to follow money, and then the money allocation is going to yield new contractual requirements. Okay. Now, in the federal data strategy is a foundational document that enables agencies to use and manage federal data to serve people, to service people. Now, this is comprised of a set of 10 data principles, 40 practices, and 20 action steps. Now, the goal is to increase data value and solution. Now, it's important to note it's going to take about 8 years for this federal data strategy to actually be properly implemented and executed based on the guidance that I'm kind of seeing outlined. Now, just real quick for my data people, there's 3 practice categories. Number 1, they want to build a culture that values data and promotes public use. It's going to be practices 1 through 10. Remember, there's a total of 40 practices. The second practice category is governing, managing, and protecting data. These are going to be your practices 11 through 26. And then your third practice category is going to be promoting efficient and appropriate data use. So these are going to be practices 27 through 40. So if you're a data person, if your company wants to do data-centric things, may want to take a look at the federal data strategy and figure out how you can provide value in that value kill chain. All right. Now, the goal is to harness actionable data to power intelligent, data-based operations, and user experiences. Now, this one also points back to our information technology operating plan. We've talked about this one a couple of times already and some of our other themes. We want to use data as a strategic asset, and this dates back to our June 2022 publication of the IT operating plan. Now that we got all that out the way, I pull the data. So I'm going to give you 8 departments. Now we know, I talk about in my framework, we have department, you got agency, you want to get down to the office. Now I'm not going to do a huge deconstruction of that today, because remember, departments don't buy what you sell, but offices do. And offices are comprised of people. We want to get to the lowest, most granular unit when we start following the money. I got tons of content on my paid platform to talk about how to properly do this. But for brevity, I don't want this video to be super, super long. Let me go ahead and give you a total. I'm going to give you a total of 8 departments. Okay. Now, under departments, there are going to be agencies and sometimes sub-agencies, and the agencies are going to have offices. But I want to just talk about, here's where the money is going to flow, and it's going to be distributed from department down to the agencies within that department. So here are your top 8 departments. Number 1, Department of Defense. And the reason why I'm going to give you 8 is because everyone is at different processes and different phases in their government contracting journey, and in terms of the infrastructure that they may have. Some of you guys have personal clearances and facility clearances. Some of you don't. So if you do not have a personal or facility clearance, some of these agencies may be out of reach today, especially from an IT perspective, which normally means if there's classified access required, you got to have the necessary clearances. We're not talking about like landscaping, where that may not be a priority. But in an IT perspective, if that agency normally does classified work, that may cause you to be kind of omitted from participating in contract opportunities right away until you do some of the things we teach on our YouTube channel and definitely on our teaching platform. So agency number 1 is Department of Defense. Number 2 is going to be the Department of Veteran Affairs, also known as the VA. Number 3 is going to be the Department of Health and Human Services, also known as HHS. Number 4 is going to be the Department of Homeland Security, also known as DHS. Number 5 is going to be the Department of Treasury, or you also sometimes refer to as the Treasury Department. Number 6 is going to be the Department of Justice, DOJ. Number 7 is going to be the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA. And then last but not least for this list, it's going to be the Department of Energy, known as DOE. Now, of this list of 8, which I'm going to call them out again quickly, you got Department of Defense, Veteran Affairs, Health and Human Services, Homeland Security, Department of Treasury, Department of Justice, USDA, and DOE. Now, of the 8, 5, any one of you all can pretty much participate in. And those 5 are going to be VA, because DOD or Department of Defense may be off limits for some for the security processing requirements we alluded to earlier. Health and Human Services, Department of Homeland Security may be out of reach for some right away for no other reason than for the clearance requirements. Department of Treasury, so it's going to be a great opportunity for you. Department of Justice, the USDA, and then for some, DOE is going to be off limits. Now, for the 3 I mentioned, Department of Defense, you're going to have to normally have a personal and facility clearance. I talk about this at great length on our teaching platform, but you're going to have a personal facility clearance at either the secret, top secret sensitive compartment of information, known as a TSSCI. Those are the 3 primary clearances: secret, top secret, or top secret SCI. That's normally what's going to be required for DOD. Secret or top secret being the primary categories, okay, for DOD. And you're going to have a personal as well as a company or facility clearance. Second one is going to require clearance is going to be Department of Homeland Security. You're going to see a very similar structure in terms of secret TS, personal and facility clearance. Now, DOE is going to be a little tricky because the clearances there are pretty much L and Q, but it's going to be a very similar clearance process. But they do L and Q clearances at Department of Energy. But the rest of them are fair game for everyone. But the three I just mentioned, Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security, and Department of Energy are typically going to be the agencies that will require a personal and a facility clearance. So for those who have clearancing, you're going to have 8 agencies you can jump into right away. For those that may not have the necessary clearances or even desire those clearances, there's going to be 5 departments that you can jump into right away. Well, I hope this video was helpful. I wanted to kind of give some framework for why I was just picking the agencies I was picking or departments I was picking. And I wanted to kind of go through that methodology so you can start looking and identifying opportunities around those things. And you're going to see these things permeated throughout the federal government: cybersecurity, IT modernization, a digital first customer experience, and data as a strategic asset. That is important to note. This is under the Biden administration. I don't know what's going to happen in November, but if there is a changing of the guards, you will see the priorities and the budgetary things. They will change as the administration changes. If Biden stays in the seat, probably going to stay status quo with some minor variation. If there's another Democratic nominee that comes forward, or if the Republicans take the seat, you're going to see a sea change in terms of direction. And so this is the forward thinking. This is the flexibility and adaptability that we must have as government contracting entrepreneurs. But that's all I got for you in this video. Definitely like, share, subscribe. Wait for my next video. I normally drop content every week. Typically between Thursday and Saturday, you'll get new content from me. But if you watch this video, go back and watch some of my previous content, and I'll see you in the next video. Until next time.